That reality has hit Pimp hard in the face, enough to kill him, but yet not enough. To kill him, that is. All the pieces did not make sense yet. However, they soon started to form a puzzle as Pimp and his peers finished their education and went to work for Mr. Stinky Breath, who had very nice breath, as accountants. They worked for him as accountants.
What?
You know it, like a charm. Bing, bing, ding, 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 bing, 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 ding, 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 ding. At first it seems normal, but the pressures and harsh cruelties keep building up. Pimp, now 24, is very bitter with Hi-Ho and refuses to use deodorant anymore out of principle. Pimp will also find that this last stage will not be as expectful and pleasant as one would expect. Stage 4, Chapter 10. Alright, said Mr. Stinky Breath. You swines aren't fit to be accountants. You're not even fit to be deodorant sticks. At this, Hi-Ho wept bitterly, as the brooding cellos filled the room. I felt no remorse, however, because of his relationship with Fred-Stella. Mr. Stinky Breath provided a harsh environment for us to work in. However, I found ways to manage, but it was trying. The accounting also had its pulls on the energy of my mind. It seemed as if though the life had been taken out of me. Ditto for the other two swines, especially Hi-Ho, but especially Paul. I also didn't live in the institution anymore, but close to Mr. Blemish's house, which was also by Mr. Waggis's firm. I often stopped by both men to visit. I now lived with Paul, again in a comfortable apartment. We often had herring for dinner, because that is what we liked. However, it was at one of my visits to Mr. Waggis that things really started to get strange. It was nighttime and I had just arrived. Evening, Mr. Waggis, I said charmfully, almost too charmfully. Evening. What a pleasure to see a swine at my office, although I already see plenty of pigs around here anyway. As he said that, a pig walking upright with a top hat and an eyepiece said, Tomorrow, yes? He then licked himself and exploded. Waggis and I then ate the remnants. Yet it wasn't until about 10 o'clock when we heard the shuffling outside his window, and then the dark figure who pulled out a gun and shot at Mr. Waggis. I pushed him out of the way, and it hit me square in the chest. I simply took it out and ate it. The figure was gone. Mr. Waggis licked up my blood, which he said it tasted more like swine juice, he said.
I think I know who's trying to kill me, he screamed.
Then his voice lowered and then started screaming again.
I once had defended a client by the name of Mrs. Lorenza in a domestic violence case in which her husband had continually beaten her, as I'm about to do to you now. He continued speaking while slapping me vivaciously. I then won the case, and he was sentenced to 3 years in jail. However, she couldn't pay me, so I had gratuitous sex with her instead. She bore a daughter about 2 years ago. I'm guessing it was her husband. I think his name is Cuckoo.
He stopped screaming, but he kept slapping me, so I shot him and went on my way. At home, Paul and I treated ourselves to a game of chess, in which he lost badly. We had bet a herring spanking, and so I received the pleasure of a spanking by him with a herring. We later ate the herring and then ourselves. Chapter 11. A bit of good news amidst all this dark shadow of goodness and herring spanking. My chum Mr. Blemish was finally getting married to his butt. However, he thought it improper to have sex with it, so he did anyway. After long and arduous thinking, he decided to marry Miss Whoopa, whom he was going to marry anyway. Whoopa! Considering the fact also that it was physically impossible to have sex with his butt. The wedding was to take place at his castle, with guests galore. Mr. Blemish was to be there, with the best butt being his butt and his other butt being the best man. Mr. Squash was to be there, along with his ravaging gang of ravages, who ate sausages. Mr. and Mrs. Sausage were to be there. Mr. Sausage was brother to Poo-Poo, the town crier who mysteriously disappeared. The celebration was a success despite my constant flatulences, and remarks that there would be no wedding, or that there should be no wedding. It was all in good fun though, until Mr. Blemish got so angry that a blemish formed on his clear butt, and until my pants were completely soiled.
Failure! 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 Failure!
On my way home, staggering in my stupor, drunk off the non-alcoholic piss served at the wedding, I got into a discussion about manure with a lamppost. The lamppost fervently kept saying there was no manure, only lamppost, while I, in my drunkenness, proceeded to quote Mr. Fatbutt's remarks about his cousin's use of manure for carpeting. The ironic thing was, his cousin lived in a lamppost, as was definitively mentioned before. The next day at work, I noticed Mr. Stinky Breath and Hi-Ho arguing. "You stupid swine," I repeated. "You stupid swine," yelled Stinky Breath for the first time, with his minty breath spraying all over Hi-Ho's deodorant stick-shaped body. "You're just like your father, Ho-Ho. Stupid." "My father was a chocolate donut. He had to have been stupid. For your insolence, I sentence you to listen to your sentencing. You're discharged. Your services are no longer of use to me, although they never have been. By the by, your friend Paul has been seeing Frestella and is getting married to her today. What now?" At this note, the note changed, and Hi-Ho grabbed the block of cream cheese and decided to eat it. He threw it at Mr. Stinky Breath and then jumped out the first-story window. The jump had killed him, but he was fine and got up and walked off. Several mornings before, I learned he had then committed suicide. This all shocked me, but none of the news got to me as much as the fact that Frestella and Paul were getting married. I looked at Paul. He looked at me. We looked at each other. Then we looked at the herring on the chair beside him. We both ran for it. However, it ran away. I was now extremely upset and did not know what to think of life anymore.